The Galactic Dominion was the oldest and most powerful empire in the known universe, ruling over hundreds of species with unwavering authority. Their starships roamed the cosmos, vast metallic titans that conquered planets as they pleased, and their diplomat course was legendary for bending worlds to their will without ever lifting a weapon. Earth was their next target, a young, relatively primitive civilization compared to the Dominion's millennia-spanning legacy. And so they dispatched their most experienced diplomat, Lord Kaal Ra'Zehn, to Earth. Kaal was a vision of supremacy. His presence could disarm most of the Dominion's fiercest foes with just a look. His reputation preceded him. He was the Empire's voice, a man who had broken more civilizations with words than fleets. He wore armor of imperial silver and violet, gleaming under any light, and a cape that trailed like the shadow of a god. When he arrived in Earth's orbit, his entourage transmitted his presence directly to the leaders of Earth. His message was simple. Prepare yourselves, Earth. I am Kaal Ra'Zehn, emissary of the Dominion. Your resistance, should you offer it, will be brief. But perhaps in cooperation there is a future where your people may serve us. There was silence for nearly a minute after his words transmitted. Kaal allowed himself a self-satisfied smile. He'd heard they were bold, but clearly they were not as fearless as they claimed. Suddenly the transmission clicked back on, and an image appeared on his console. There was no throne room, no gilded halls of rulers and power. The screen simply showed a man in a dark suit and tie, seated in a sparsely decorated office, an Earth flag in the background. This figure leaned forward with an intense look. This was Secretary of Defense John Walker, a seasoned military man, and one of Earth's best. He didn't smile. Lord Kaal Ra'Zehn, you may enter the atmosphere and land on our designated base. I'll be waiting there for your negotiations, he said, voice cool, even bored. Don't be late. Kaal's smile vanished. The Dominion shuttle descended onto a vast stretch of concrete, where a single figure stood, in stark contrast against the chilly dawn. The Secretary Walker's gaze didn't shift as the Imperial transport landed, its ramp extending with a hiss. A team of Earth soldiers flanked him, unmoving as Kaal and his advisors ended, capes flowing like smoke. Kaal noted with mild interest the soldiers' weapons. Inferior, yes, but their resolve was unmistakable. Lord Kaal Ra'Zehn. Walker's voice was calm, but his tone left no room for arrogance. Yes, Kaal responded, his voice dripping with confidence. Shall we discuss your species' capitulation terms inside? Walker didn't blink, but his lips formed a cold smirk. Of course, right this way. Inside, the room Walker led him to was starkly utilitarian, no grandeur, no artistry. Just hard concrete walls, metal chairs, and a table bolted to the floor. The simplicity bordered on insult, but Kaal dismissed it. It was almost amusing. Let's get to the point, Lord Kaal, Walker said, sitting across from him with a deliberate slowness. You claim to represent the Dominion, a vast, powerful empire, and you think we should just surrender to avoid a conflict. Kaal chuckled softly. Correct. I represent not only an empire, but the inevitable. Those who resist the Dominion rarely remain standing for long, and while humans are certainly unique in their defiance, I'm here to offer you an alternative. Walker's brow arched slightly. Oh, really? And what alternative would that be? A formal partnership with the Dominion, Kaal said smoothly. Under our protection, Earth will prosper beyond your wildest imaginings. In exchange, of course, for certain adjustments to your sovereignty. Walker leaned forward, his blue eyes like ice. You think we're afraid of the Dominion? Afraid? Kaal's tone was patronizing. I think you're sensible enough to recognize overwhelming power when you see it. Walker sat back, his face unreadable. Lord Kaal, there's something you need to understand about humanity. We don't respond well to intimidation. Kaal's eyes narrowed slightly. I suggest you reconsider. Walker's eyes glinted. I suggest you take a seat and buckle up. You're in for a ride. And with that, Walker pressed a button on the table. The walls around him shimmered, and suddenly Kaal was no longer in the drab concrete room. The walls, the floor, the table, all of it dissolved into a projection. He was standing on a dizzying platform overlooking a massive holographic map of Earth and beyond, showing countless Dominion ships. Then, slowly, small points began to flicker on Earth's side. Fleets of Earth's own, hidden away from the Dominion's knowledge, appearing from every corner of the Earth and its surrounding space. Kaal's breath caught as he realized the extent of Earth's mobilization. You prepared for us, he managed, anger sparking through his voice. He turned back to Walker, who was watching him with the faintest smile. Let's say we had a feeling, Walker replied. Now, let's talk real terms. Kaal, you came here expecting us to bend a knee to your empire. But what if there was a different proposition? Kaal glared. You have nothing to offer. Oh, I beg to differ, Walker said, leaning in. We're resourceful, Lord Kaal. We've adapted and evolved in ways your Dominion would never anticipate. You might control dozens of systems, but we're already here waiting. Kaal sneered. Earth defenses will fall the moment we strike. Maybe, Walker said casually, or maybe we let you in too deep before you realize that your dominance ends with our resolve. The silence grew thick, as Kaal realized he'd walked straight into a trap. Every inch of Earth's counter-strategy was calculated, perfectly matched against the Dominion's usual tactics. But it was more than that. There was a glimmer in Walker's eyes, a hunger of fierce and unyielding pride that he'd never seen before. You're bluffing, Kaal spat, though a sliver of doubt crept into his voice. Walker smiled. Do you know what's funny, Kaal? We could have shown you all of this earlier. We could have sent our fleets to confront you before you even reached orbit, but we didn't. Why? Kaal shook his head, seething. I failed to see the humor in any of this. Walker's expression turned deadly serious. It's simple. We wanted you to see exactly what you're up against. To look into our eyes and understand one thing about humanity: we don't break easily. He let the words hang, their weight settle into the very air, and for the first time in his illustrious career, Kaal felt something gnaw at his confidence. He'd faced resistance before, but he'd never encountered a species so maddeningly certain of itself in the face of overwhelming force. We could destroy you, Kaal, Walker said, his voice a quiet steel. It would cost us. But make no mistake, the Dominion would bleed, and if you think for a second that we wouldn't pay that price to defend our freedom, you don't understand humanity at all. Kaal's hands clenched as he fought to maintain his composure. This is foolishness. Suicidal arrogance. Walker shrugged. Then tell your Dominion to come and see if we're bluffing. There was a tense silence as Kaal glared at the Earth diplomat. He could feel his control slipping, the certainty of his empire cracking beneath the weight of this defiance. It was inconceivable. No one had ever stood against the Dominion like this. What do you want? Kaal finally demanded, his voice a strained whisper. Walker's smile turned hard. Simple. You go back to your Dominion and tell them Earth isn't worth the... You tell them to look elsewhere if they want to expand their empire. We're not interested in being part of your legacy. Kaal stared at him, torn between fury and disbelief. The thought of leaving Earth untouched felt like a blight on his career, a permanent mark of shame. But the fire in Walker's eyes, the unbreakable, were radiating from this one. Infuriating, Human left him with no other choice. I'll convey your message, he said stiffly, struggling to keep the bitterness out of his voice. Walker nodded, standing up. Good, but understand this, Kaal, we're not just making a stand for ourselves. Every species your Dominion has oppressed, every civilization you've crushed, they're watching us. They're waiting to see if the mighty Dominion can be humbled. Kaal felt the weight of Walker's words settle deep in his bones. He knew, even as he turned and walked back to his shuttle, that the Dominion would never be the same. Earth's defiance was a crack in their perfect armor, a single spark threatening to ignite galaxies worth of pent-up fury. As Kaal stepped onto his ship, he cast one last glance back at Walker, whose expression remained one of quiet, unshakable defiance. Kaal understood now why humanity was different, why their resilience couldn't be crushed underfoot like so many others. The shuttle doors closed, sealing Kaal and his entourage inside. As they lifted off, he issued a single command, his voice tense with both dread and a strange respect. Set course for the Dominion, he said. They need to hear of this, Earth. Back on the ground, Walker watched as the shuttle rose into the sky, vanishing into the stars. His shoulders relaxed slightly, a grin breaking over his face. Show's over, boys, he muttered to himself, feeling a surge of satisfaction as his team began to pack up. The Dominion had left Earth alone for now, but in the depths of his gut, Walker knew that this wasn't the end. He could feel in his bones. The Dominion would return, but next time Earth would be ready. And when they did, humanity would show the galaxy exactly what it meant to face a planet that never knew how to back down.